The Empire State Building was built in 14 months. That is what new State Superintendent Lyndall Field said when he took over the job after Ryan Walters resigned, with 15 months left in his term in charge of Oklahoma schools. And Superintendent Fields joined us here this week on Oklahoma Chronicle, a little more than a month after getting sworn in. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. Glad to be with you today.
Well, great. You know, I think a lot of people might have been expecting, when you made those initial comments, that you would just maybe tame expectations, that you would say, you know what, I'm just in here to right the ship, not in here to do anything crazy. But instead, I think you kind of made a bold claim, saying that you expect to make bold changes, that you expect to make a difference in your 15 months on the job. The problem, of course, with making expectations is that then the job is to meet them.
Sure.
How's that going?
Well, I think it's going really good. You know, my thoughts when saying that was that it's an entire year, maybe a year and a half of a student's life. Right. So we owe it to them to do the very, very best we can. So, you know, I did say right the ship, and we've patched some holes, so I think we're off to a good start.
Well, it's interesting because we talk about 15 months, but really you set out some goals. You're like, the first month is going to be about communication, it's going to be about team building, getting to know people and building up those relationships.
That's right.
Then after that, really the next 3 months, or I guess the first 90 days, you're still going to be looking backwards and addressing some of the things that happened in the previous administration. So that's where you're at right now.
That's exactly right. So we talked about communication and relationships.
How did that go?
Well, I think it doesn't just stop. You don't get to just go from one to the other. So I think communication's good. I think school districts have felt like they've been communicated with. I think the public at large, and even the legislature would probably tell you they feel like they've been communicated with. So far so good, and now starting to build those relationships. Did
you feel like there was more work to be done there with communication and relationship building within the Department of Education or with the school districts? Which one needed more work?
I think it was equal to both. The folks inside of the agency needed to know my plan and needed to know, you know, where we were going, and as much as the rest of the state. So I think it was really equal there.
There are some things as you're reviewing, and I know that you've already said that there was a focus under Ryan Walters to put Bibles in the schools. You've already said that's not going to be a focus of my time here. That's not something we're going to focus on. There were some things that I think might have been more broadly popular with parents that the superintendent talked about, the idea of providing free meals for all students, also the idea of looking hard at statewide testing and see if there's a better way to change some of those. Where are we specifically with those two items?
Yeah. So with statewide testing, we all, I think, would agree we need to make some adjustments to statewide testing. The challenge is that takes time, and it takes input, and not something that's going to happen overnight. So the testing went back to the way it was for this year, and we'll be having very deliberate conversations about what that could look like. So that's on the testing piece. The free meals, as it stands right now, about 77% of school districts offer free lunches. And with the SNAP challenges over the last couple of weeks, we've asked school districts to look at the applications they've made to get even more meals available. So we're not that far from all meals being provided for free, but that's a conversation we're going to have with districts moving forward, and how are we going to fund that if that's something we want to do.
Well, I know just talking to superintendents around the state, they were saying that Superintendent Walters' demands in this case were just unrealistic, saying there's not the money in the budget. He says you're not focusing the right way. And I know you want to focus on what you are going to be able to do, but other states have approached this in talking with the state legislatures. Is that an issue that at the end of the day is going to need to go in front of lawmakers and need to get some buy-in there?
I think so. You know, our job is to execute the policy that the legislature puts in place. They set policy, I execute the policy. At the very least, districts have to have time to implement that. So their budgets are due in June for July through June fiscal year. So anything that's required or suggested after that is going to be a challenge for schools. So if we're going to have those conversations, it needs to be now for next year. Does that make sense?
Right, it does.
Yeah,
it does. So you have identified three big goals for yourself. You want to make an impact with literacy.
That's right.
You want to make an impact with teacher retention, right? We want to bring in and then keep our teachers that we have here.
Right.
And then also some work with improving career pathways. You talked about how a lot of students are leaving high school right now. There's no plan.
Right.
So, you've said you're not running for re-election here.
That's right.
Is that still the case?
That's still the case.
Okay, all right. I might ask you that again, maybe next year.
Right.
But what is success going to look like for you? Let's pick just literacy, for example, because you talk kind of broadly about that. But what is success going to look like at the end of your term for literacy?
Yeah. So I'm under no perfectionist ideas that we're going to move way up on the list in 1 year. My thoughts are that let's work on the basics, the X's and O's, and when we get that right, we can start running some of these plays, these good ideas that you're seeing out there. So I think in terms of literacy, it looks like we have a solid plan. You've heard a lot about the Mississippi Miracle. I call it a marathon because a miracle means it was overnight. A marathon takes time.
For our viewers who were talking about that, what was that and how did it work here?
The Mississippi Miracle was a plan that was put into place in Mississippi that helped their reading results go up tremendously. But it took 10, 12, 14 years, and it didn't happen overnight. And it has to do with coaches, curriculum, all of the things that make up a good literacy program, and they went all in on that. They went all in. They budgeted for it, and they put a long-term plan. So if we want to have similar results to the Mississippi Miracle, we need to think about it comprehensively and not just bits and pieces.
And right now, are we thinking about it in bits and pieces, or what do you plan to put forward? You said that there's already some things in place here, and I remember under Ryan Walters, there was the investment of millions of dollars going into Tulsa and Oklahoma City. Is that part of what you're talking, or is this a separate deal?
I think this might be a separate deal. We have a reading program called Heroes at the State Department now that's in its third year that gets a little bit at what they've done with the Mississippi Miracle. So I think an expansion of that, again, comprehensively, and looking at the other parts that Mississippi did and putting that all together in a package. And I don't think that can just happen overnight. It'll just take time, a little bit at a time.
Right. I don't have time to ask you specifically about all these different things, but let's wrap up here by talking about, you've been on the job now 5-6 weeks.
Right.
What has been a challenge in front of you that perhaps you weren't thinking about, you weren't anticipating, and that you're now excited to take on?
Oh, wow. Gosh, so many things. You probably heard me mention that we're on 18 boards, which I am, which is in and of itself a full-time job. Just the sheer breadth of the whole state agency, $5 billion, dozens of contracts, multi-million-dollar contracts. I didn't know all that was. I knew the budget was big, and I knew there were a lot of moving parts. So as a challenge and looking forward to that, getting our arms around that, streamlining some of those processes, and ensuring that what we're doing is actually impacting kids in the classroom. So if you're not taking care of the student, take care of someone who is, and getting the agency to that point. That's what I'm most excited about.
Will you come back and talk to us a little bit more down the road? Let us know how things are going.
I'd be happy to do that.
We'd love to have you back. All right.
Thanks so much.
State Superintendent Lyndall Fields with us right now. We appreciate the time.
You're very welcome. Thank you.